Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Signal, a Korean television series from 2016. It's 16 episodes long, with each episode being 60 to 80 minutes in length each. Now, our main protagonist is a criminal profiler who does not trust cops because of suspicious circumstances surrounding his brother's conviction of a crime 15 years ago. Now, this profiler eventually finds a walkie-talkie and begins having conversations with the person on the other end. Now, he soon discovers that this person is a former detective who still lives in the year 2000. So essentially, they are talking across time. So this profiler uses this opportunity to feed this detective some information from the future so he can solve crimes that previously went unsolved. Pretty interesting premise. Now, this premise has been done before. You know, the American movie Frequency being one example that comes to mind. The South Korean movie Ditto is another example, although that one was more of a romance drama, right? But once I read the premise for Signal, even though it was interesting, I wasn't exactly sure I was ready to see this kind of gimmick again, especially for like a 16-episode show. But I must admit that the story did hook me by the third episode, and I'd have to say that there's a lot to like about this show. You know, the investigation elements are mostly well written. The cops are pretty sharp in this, they're not stupid, and they do a good job of following clues as well as profiling. Over the 16-episode length, our protagonists investigate about half a dozen different cases along the way. So there's a bit of variety in terms of the bad guys they need to catch. One of those cases is the famous real-life killing spree that was the basis for the film Memories of Murder. So it's interesting to see that case explored from a different angle here. And in case you didn't hear about this, in real life, they actually caught the guy who was responsible for those serial killings in South Korea. He was actually already in jail for an unrelated crime. He murdered his sister-in-law, I think, and he's been serving jail time since 1994, and they've been looking for this guy for years. So it's that's pretty crazy when you think about it. You kind of wonder how many unsolved cases are out there where the criminal actually was caught for an unrelated crime and is in prison, but hasn't yet admitted to the crimes that you're looking for, right? So I found that to be pretty fascinating, and that hit the newswire last year. So do a Google search and read up on it. So Signal, overall, nicely paced and engaging for the most part. There are some surprises that caught me off guard. It's always nice to see. Another thing I like is that there are consequences in this show. You know, everything does not turn out well during these cases. Sometimes, you know, they'll save a person's life, but someone else will die. Or, you know, the cases will be solved, but there'll be some type of unresolved aspect to it, or some things that just can't be corrected perfectly. And I kind of like that about this show. It's effectively dramatic, with some solid performances from everyone. So you may have recognized Je-hoon Lee in movies like Phantom Detective, Architecture 101, and Bleak Night. He's a good young talent, and he's a lead in this show. And I'm going to keep an eye on him in the future. He's pretty good. Hye-soo Kim is a veteran actress at this point. You may recognize her from movies like Coin Locker Girl, Taza the High Rollers, and The Red Shoes, the old school Korean horror film. If you're a fan of this actress, though, and you're looking for some lesser-known stuff, I would recommend Hypnotize from 2004 and A Good Day to Have an Affair from 2007. I think those are two of her kind of lesser-known, lesser-appreciated gems. And finally, we have Jin-woong Cho, more recently known for his work in films like The Spy Gone North, The Handmaiden, Assassination, and A Hard Day. Very good actor. He's very good in this as well. You know, these actors, they do a good job of kind of changing up their, I guess, their moods. Because sometimes, in certain situations, it'll be almost a little bit melodramatic at times, and they pull that off. And then other times, they got to be like, you know, hardcore detective, and they pull that off too. So it's good. Some recognizable faces in this K-drama. Now, I don't think Signal is a perfect show by any means. This isn't a perfect show. There are a handful of criticisms that I have. First of all, like the timing and the frequency of these signals across time are a bit contrived. There's really no reason or logic behind when they happen, how long they happen, and that type of thing. You know, it's a little bit confusing to explain exactly why I feel this way without giving spoilers, but if you watch the show, you might know what I'm talking about. One little example is, you know, that they're only able to talk to one another through these magical walkie-talkies for only a very limited amount of time, and I'm not sure why. You know, but I guess with a premise like this, it has kind of a science fiction-y type element to it. You just got to roll with it. But also keep in mind, though, that because these transmissions are so short, there's not that many of them throughout the show. So some cases, I mean, they really have to work the case files and figure stuff out. They can't just cheat the whole time and give away like the whole case, you know, in the future, you know, or across time and just figure it out in like 2 seconds because they put, you know, 2 and 2 together. And because in theory, like the guy from the future, the profiler, could send information back, like from the future, to the detective in the past, and if he had enough time, he could give him like all of their knowledge from the future, and the detective in the past could, I guess, accelerate the case and solve it faster. But they don't allow that to happen. So a lot of this stuff is basic investigative elements. It's not too sci-fi. So just keep that in mind. I do think that the first 12 episodes are better than the last 4. When the show kind of nears its end, it does feel a little bit more repetitive, almost like it's spinning its wheels a bit instead of progressing in an efficient manner. Like they replay events maybe a bit too much, because by the end of the show, you're trying to solve this one case that's been going on the whole show, and they keep like repeating stuff, so I didn't really like that. You know, the final 4 episodes revolve around this case, and you kind of start to fidget in your seat a bit. You're like, okay, guys, let's start wrapping this up here, because it's like they're not making a whole lot of progress on this case that's been you know, going across the whole show. The final few episodes lack a sense of excitement. They feel a little bit lethargic, and the show just kind of ends a bit on a whimper. Like the ending, it's not really that satisfying to me, so that's kind of a problem. I think that, you know, in theory, they could rectify some of this if they do another season, but this show is like 4 years old already, so the chances of them doing another season, I'm not sure is really that good. I mean, it's not a bad ending. There's certain things that are open-ended. You could kind of fill in the blanks yourself, but I would have preferred a more dramatically impactful and satisfying ending to the show, and it doesn't really give you that. But even though these negatives bring the show down a notch, in my opinion, it's still a good show. This is a good show. If the premise sounds interesting to you, if you like that type of thing, check it out. I do recommend this. It's a good flick, or good show, I should say. Signal is currently available on Netflix in the United States. And as always, I'll see you next time.